The night shift was never supposed to feel this heavy, but Officer Lena Hart had learned long ago that danger rarely announced itself. The streets were usually quiet around this hour, washed in the neon glow of city lights and the hum of late-night diners. Yet something in the air felt different, thicker, charged, as if the whole city was holding its breath. Beside her, Coda, her loyal K9 partner, paced restlessly in the back seat of the cruiser. His instincts were sharper than any human's, and Lena had learned to trust that intuition even more than her own. Lena reached back and scratched behind Coda's ears through the cage. "Easy, boy, we're almost done," she whispered, though she wasn't sure she believed it. For all her calm exterior, she carried a world of weight behind her badge, grief, responsibility, and a silent determination that had fueled her since her father, also an officer, died in the line of duty 10 years ago. She had promised herself she would serve with the same courage, but also with something many officers lacked during moments of conflict: compassion. Just as her shift neared its end, a dispatch crackled through the radio: disturbance at a closed riverside warehouse. Witnesses reported shouting, crashing, and what sounded like a struggle. "Great," Lena muttered, starting the engine. Coda let out a low growl, confirming her unease. But duty was duty, and Lena had never once turned away from it. The warehouse stood like a crooked skeleton against the moonlight, windows boarded, walls tagged with graffiti. The night wind carried the faint scent of rust and river water. As Lena stepped out, Coda at her side, she heard something slam inside. A man's voice cursed loudly. Another voice whimpered. Someone was in trouble. Lena approached cautiously. "Police, announce yourself," she called out. Silence answered her, thick, tense, unnatural. Then a harsh laugh cut through the air, followed by something crashing to the ground. She exchanged a glance with Coda. He was alert, muscles taut, ready. Inside, the warehouse was dim, the only light coming from a broken overhead lamp flickering like a dying star. Lena's flashlight cut through the shadows. That's when she saw him. A young man, early 20s, expensive haircut, gold chain glinting around his neck, was gripping another man's collar, slamming him against a stack of crates. The victim was shaking, trying to protect himself with trembling hands. The aggressor's face was twisted in a dangerous mixture of entitlement and rage. He looked like someone who had been told his entire life he could do whatever he wanted, and had never been corrected. "Step back," Lena commanded, voice firm. The young man froze, then slowly turned toward her. A smirk spread across his face, dripping with arrogance. Well, he said, releasing his victim, who stumbled backward and collapsed. "A lady cop, with a dog." He stepped closer, sizing her up like she was prey. "You know who I am." "No," Lena answered calmly. "And it doesn't matter. Hands where I can see them." He gave a mocking bow. "Vincent Moretti, son of Antonio Moretti." The name dropped like a stone. The Moretti family, one of the most dangerous Mafia clans on the East Coast. Lena's pulse quickened, but she kept her stance solid. Mafia heir or not, she had a job to do. Vincent shrugged. "You're interrupting a family conversation. That guy stole from us. I'm just teaching him a little respect." He stepped closer, his smile darkening. "But now, I think I'll teach you something too." Lena reached for her cuffs. "Don't take another step." Coda let out a sharp bark, positioning himself between Lena and the threat. Vincent's smirk faltered, replaced with irritation. "What's this? You let the mutt do the talking." When Lena didn't react, Vincent snapped. The rage flared in him like a match thrown into gasoline. Without warning, he lunged forward and kicked Coda in the ribs, hard. Coda yelped and stumbled. Something inside Lena cracked open. "Hey," she shouted, pulling her taser. "Get back." But Vincent was already gearing up for another strike, laughing like it was a game. "Stupid dog, know your place." Coda, though hurt, pulled himself up, baring his teeth protectively. Lena had never felt fury so clean, so sharp, but she would not let anger make her reckless. She moved to position herself between Vincent and her partner. And then everything shifted. A shadow detached itself from the far corner of the warehouse. A man, quiet as a whisper, stepped into the faint light. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in simple dark clothes. His presence felt like gravity, heavy, commanding, still. Vincent didn't even notice him at first. But Lena did. Kota did too. His growl softened into something almost instinctive, like respect. The stranger's voice broke the tension with the calm of someone who had stared danger in the eye too many times to be shaken. "Step away from the officer," he said. Vincent spun around, startled. "Who the hell are you?" The man stepped fully into view. His eyes were slow-burning steel, his posture relaxed but ready. "Someone who's seen enough tonight." Lena blinked. "Sir, please stay back. This is a police matter." He nodded once, acknowledging her authority, but didn't retreat. "Understood. But your backup's 10 minutes out. And this kid isn't the type to wait politely." Vincent scoffed. "What are you, some wannabe hero?" The man didn't smile. "Former Navy SEAL." Those words thudded in the air like a warning bell. Even Vincent paused, uncertainty flickering across his face before fury swallowed it again. "Yeah," Vincent snarled. "Well, I don't care." He lunged at the newcomer. It happened fast, faster than Lena could track. The SEAL sidestepped effortlessly, tapped Vincent's arm, twisted, and redirected his momentum. Vincent found himself face down on the concrete before he even knew he'd been grabbed. The move was smooth, controlled, not violent, just firm enough to subdue without lasting harm. Lena stared. She had seen skilled fighters, but nothing like this. This was precision born only of discipline, training, and years of walking the line between life and death. "Yield," the SEAL said quietly. Vincent struggled, humiliated. "Get off me. You're dead. You hear me? My father will bury you." "Maybe," the SEAL replied peacefully. "But not tonight." Lena cuffed Vincent, though he cursed and spat the entire time. The victim he had been attacking was escorted safely outside. Backup arrived shortly after, shocked to find the Mafia Heir handcuffed by a single officer, and a stranger who simply stood leaning against a wall, silent as winter. When the officers led Vincent out, he shot one last venomous look at Lena. "You'll regret this. Both of you." Lena didn't flinch. Kota stood tall beside her, though breathing heavier than usual. She made a mental note to get him checked as soon as she returned to the station. Once the chaos faded and the warehouse grew quiet again, Lena finally turned to the man. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "You didn't have to get involved." The SEAL shook his head. "I didn't do anything you wouldn't have done. You held your ground. That's rare these days." She gave a small smile. "I'm Lena." He hesitated before answering. "Mark." Kota approached him cautiously. To Lena's surprise, Mark knelt and gently scratched Kota's neck. "You're a brave one," he murmured. Kota leaned into the touch, tail slowly wagging. "You're good with him," Lena said. Mark looked away. "Had a dog once. On deployment." His voice softened with a grief that didn't need explanation. "Didn't make it home." Lena's chest tightened. She knew the pain of losing a partner. She carried it every day. "You saved his life tonight," she whispered. Mark stood, brushing dust from his hands. "I think he saved yours too." For a moment, they simply stood together in the quiet warehouse, two strangers connected by circumstance, duty, and the unspoken understanding that the world was often cruel but sometimes softened by the courage of ordinary people. As they walked out into the night air, Lena found herself studying him more closely. There was a quiet heaviness to him, as though he carried memories he didn't know how to set down. The kind of man who had saved many lives, yet struggled to save his own heart. "Why were you here?" she asked gently. Mark shrugged. "I was just walking, thinking, trying to get out of my head. Long day, long life." His small chuckle held centuries of exhaustion. Lena smiled. Not out of pity but recognition. "I know what that feels like." Mark looked at her then, really looked, and his eyes softened. "I think you do." They reached the edge of the parking lot where Lena's cruiser waited. Kota jumped inside, settling with a wince. Lena's worry returned. "He'll be okay," Mark assured her. "Dogs like him. They're stronger than we think." Lena nodded, though she couldn't hide the emotion in her eyes. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't shown up." Mark gazed at her, his expression kind. "You'd have found a way. The good ones always do." She bit her lip, feeling something shift inside her, something warm. "That means a lot." He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small worn bracelet made of black paracord. "This belonged to my dog," he said softly. "It's good luck. Has been for years." He held it out gently. I think Coda should have it. Lena blinked rapidly, taken aback. Mark. I can't take that. It's yours. It was his, Mark corrected quietly. He would have liked knowing another brave K9 carries it now. Emotion overflowed in Lena's chest, raw and unexpected. She accepted the bracelet carefully, as though it were a fragile treasure. Thank you, she whispered. Mark nodded once. You two take care of each other. He stepped back, hands in his pockets, the wind brushing through his hair. That's what partners do. She watched him turn toward the quiet street, disappearing into the glow of the city lights like a wandering ghost finally given purpose for a moment. She wanted to call out, to ask more questions, where he lived, whether he'd be okay, if their paths would ever cross again. But something stopped her. Some people entered your life for a reason, not a season. Maybe he had given her everything he needed to with that single act of courage, and perhaps she had given him something too, a reminder that goodness still existed, even in dark warehouses where evil tried to rule the night. As she drove away with Coda resting behind her, Lena touched the bracelet, feeling the faint echo of another loyal heartbeat. She glanced at her partner through the mirror. His eyes were steady, trusting, alive. You're safe, she murmured. Because someone cared enough to step in. And maybe that was the heart of the story. Not the violence, not the danger, not the Mafia heir who thought he owned the world. But the stranger who reminded her, and anyone listening, that humanity was still alive. That kindness could appear when least expected. That heroes didn't always wear badges or uniforms. Some simply appeared when the world needed them, silently, humbly, and then slipped back into the shadows. As the first hint of dawn warmed the horizon, Lena felt something she hadn't in a long time. Hope. Pure, uncomplicated hope. She wasn't alone in this world after all. And she never would be, as long as people like Mark existed. The city woke slowly around her, but in her heart, something new had already begun. A belief that compassion could change a life, that courage could save one, and that even in the darkest moments, light found a way to break through. Tonight, it had walked out of the shadows. Tonight, it had saved her. And tomorrow, she knew, it would inspire her to keep fighting not just with strength, but with humanity. Because sometimes, a single act of goodness doesn't just change a night. It changes everything.